All right, now that we have tackled your hips and hip mobility and why it's important and the movements that we can do to increase hip mobility, now let's move on to the second section, which is thoracic mobility, aka our upper back. Now, again, people are probably wondering, why am I talking about the upper back? Why aren't we talking about the lower back? And it's the exact same principle, but from the other side. Look at it geographically. We have your hips are below your lower back, and then your upper back, as the name would suggest, are above your lower back. So the upper back is another area of our body that is actually designed to be quite mobile. And the problem is when we spend a lot of time in fixed positions, sitting at a desk, behind a computer, hunched over, texting, driving for long distances, we're in that internally rotated position of the shoulders, we're hunched over, and in that kyphotic posture, as medical professionals refer to it. And this is where there's not necessarily such thing as a bad posture, only one that you're in for too long. And basically what's happening here is we are focusing on counteracting those hunched over positions that we tend to find ourselves in. Again, texting on a phone, driving, being on a computer, etc., where we're in that internally rotated position with the shoulders. And we're going to work on thoracic extension and thoracic rotation, aka rotation of the upper back, extension of the upper back. So what we're doing here is we're mobilizing that area so that when we go to do certain movements, the lower back doesn't have to kick in and go into overdrive to perform the tasks, just like we talked about with the hips. So, and that's the thing, when people start to do these stretches, they feel very tight. I remember the very first stretch you're about to do, the upper back rotation, or the T-spine opener as it's also called, I couldn't even get halfway. My coach taught me this drill several years ago, and I was blown away by how little range of motion I had. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, your T-spine needs to be able to rotate. Your shoulder blades need to move more freely in order to be able to do the movements that you want to do and to get out of pain and stay out of pain. Notice there's a theme here, obviously, and a pattern. So that's what we're going to be working on here. I want to also emphasize, you're going to hear me repeat myself over and over again, and this is because I want to be Leo DiCaprio in Inception. I want to seep into your subconscious with these thoughts, and I want you to really, really digest isn't the right word, really assimilate this information and really let it seep into your subconscious. Breathe deeply, relax into these positions, and don't force it. I want you to take your time as you're doing each of these movements and think of it more from a long-term perspective and less from okay, I need to reach this certain amount of range of motion this session and I have to make progress every single time. Progress in this field, just like many others, is not linear. It will be up and down. And there's many other factors involved there, so I don't want you to get too bogged down in the details and too in the weeds. I just want you to breathe deeply, perform the movements, and relax into it as much as you can. And you will make progress and you will see changes in a relatively quick period of time. All right, let's get to it. All right, first up is the child's pose rock back. You're going to set up on all fours, walk your hands out in front of you, ahead of you a little bit, and what you're going to do is you're going to push your hips back behind you while also trying to push the floor away. You're going to exhale deeply every time you rock back, inhale every time you rock forward, and I want you to really try to push through the floor, drop your head down through, feel free to touch the floor with your head, and really try to create space in that upper back. We're working on upper back extension here, that thoracic extension is what we're working on. And just want to reiterate, you're going to recognize and notice that I'm a broken record, but I want you to really breathe deeply, exhale deeply as you rock back, inhale deeply as you rock forward. Perform this for 10 repetitions. Next on deck is the T-spine opener. This is one of my favorite ones. Now we're working on thoracic rotation, aka upper back rotation. You're going to lie on your side and your bottom leg is extended all the way. Your top leg, the knee is bent at 90 degrees. Rest it on a foam roller or a pillow to help support the hips and keep your spine and hips in good position. You're going to take that top arm, you're going to extend that arm ahead of you, inhaling as you're reaching forward, and then exhale as you reach back behind you and rotate that upper back and try to touch the floor. You don't want to force the position. Inhale forward, exhale back, take your time, really ease into it. What I like to do on repetitions 8 through 10 is I'll extend into that position, I'll take another deep breath, exhale, and then try to lower a little bit more. So that's one little trick that I like to do to help get a little bit more rotation, particularly on days when I'm extra stiff after driving, spending time on the phone, and all the other positions that we find ourselves in, rounded upper back, internally rotated shoulders, and just extensive posture, or excessive posture. The next one is the T-spine snow angel. The cool thing is you're in that same starting position here, so you've got the foam roller propped under the knee, and you have the same starting position, and this time you're going to rotate that arm around as if you were making a snow angel, hence the name. And what you'll do is, imagine that your fingertips are pencils. I want you to trace a massive semicircle around your body, so coming up and over and around the head, all the way back to your hips, and then rotate back to that starting position. Try to touch the floor the entire time, but feel free to raise the hand up off of the floor if you need to, if the shoulder isn't able to maintain that range of motion. And same thing here, you guessed it, we're going to inhale as we reach back into that starting position, and we're going to exhale very deeply as we rotate out back to the hips. So make sure to really focus on breathing and take your time.